right, folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, Best of the Rest, Season 4. I'm Mike with EJ. How's it going, pal?
Great. I think that might have been one of the best openings we've had. We're off to a strong start here.
By that, do you mean no errors? Then yeah, or coughing attacks or anything like that? Then yeah, it was one of the best we've had this year.
Yeah, we're off to a good start. It only took us 5, episodes to get this thing rolling like it should. But that's how it works.
That sucks. 5 episodes. You know what that means? That means that we're coming up on week 4 of the season. That means we just passed week 3. That means the teams have already played a quarter of their games, regular season, anyways.
Yeah,
that sucks.
We are this would mark a third of the way done with this season. We have 15 episodes. I know.
Moment of silence.
I know.
Life is fleeting, man. Life is fleeting. Football is fleeting. Damn, that's crazy. That makes me sad. It feels like it just started and it's almost over.
We just have all of this misfortune. I bought this lovely hat and I was hoping to have been able to wear this last episode because as you can see, and I guess it might be a little hard if I get closer.
Yeah.
For our YouTube people here, but it's a lovely hat from Bainbridge. Is that what it's called? Bainbridge?
I let me pull it up here. I have my
no free ads.
Bainbridge, yes. No, Bartbridge.
Bainbridge. I think that's an actual bridge, actually.
No.
Bartbridge. So this is for the Spotify listeners here that can't see my hat. It is a lovely black trucker hat, and there's a rectangle patch on it, and this one is like a cream with orange accent, and it has Corvallis written diagonally as like a pageant stash, I guess, and then in the circle it has a beaver, and then it has another smaller rectangle that says Oregon. So this is in reference to the Oregon State Beavers, Corvallis, and also the thing that Bartbridge is known for is these patches are actually pockets, so you can throw in a little credit card action, hotel room key, whatever you want in there. Maybe some cash.
I gotta pull the trigger. I've just whittled it down to 4 in my cart. Though there's 2 other ones I really want, but I can't. Just on the off chance I get caught, I cannot justify 6. 4, I can try to. I don't know what I can do, but
on the off chance that I get caught, I'm gonna go out on a limb that your wife is gonna have the exact same response that mine did when she saw me wearing this hat, and it was like,
"What's that?"
Well, she said, "What the hell is that?"
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, "That looks dumb," is almost like word for word.
What?
She said. I know.
I think it was really nice on you, man.
I think it looks fantastic too. I think it was more the idea of I bought another hat. And I don't know. I guess she just.
Do you have an Oregon State hat though?
I do not.
I mean, this is honestly, I thought about buying that one. It looks so nice.
Yeah, no, it's a great hat. Obviously, we talked about the Platypus Trophy, and if you guys have listened to us long enough, you know that Oregon State, I mean, if you just followed our story this weekend, Oregon State and Washington State hold a spot in both our hearts, and now I have a hat for both. And I don't know that I actually mentioned this on the pod, but I think I teased it a long time ago, but I will be actually traveling to the great state of Oregon in a few weeks now.
That's coming up too, huh?
It's rapidly approaching to see my Michigan State Spartans likely get embarrassed by the Oregon Ducks.
I saw they flexed your Ohio State game into a night game.
Yeah, great. And put it on Peacock, thank God, so people can't watch it. That was the best thing they did, was put that bad boy off a cable. Yeah, so I'm super excited getting to see not only it worked out perfectly that the Ducks and the Spartans playing Friday night, and the Beavers in a future Pac-12 matchup. Man, we have something to talk about here. They play the Colorado State Rams on Saturday, so I get to double dip, get to go to Autzen and Reeser with our podcast listener, our faithful listener Dave, who is my old, or I guess he's not my old coworker. He is my coworker. It just feels old since I don't go into the office anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's got to feel like you got a new job now almost.
Yeah,
yeah.
And he's originally from Oregon and is a big Ducks fan. And we wanted to do this about a decade ago when the Spartans and the Ducks had a home and home, but it just didn't work out. And now it's going to. So super excited. I'm definitely going to do something for you all, some sort of content. I haven't gotten exactly down what I want to do. But stay tuned. It will be fun. I will do something different, maybe a little bit more video, live video, something of those sorts.
You'd be like that kid that sticks around after the game and then walks around the stadium with unfettered access.
Yeah. I'm truthfully going to figure out a way for me to find that platypus and see it. I'm gonna find some emails and I'm gonna blast them out and see what I can do. But that would be perfection. If I could see that bad boy.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Don't wear that hat when you go. Well, though you have Dave with you, so that's that would be okay because then you have you gotta you got one of the Duck faithful, one of the lemon yellow faithful with you. So
the lemon yellows.
I could not.
Yes. So I guess let's talk a little bit of football before we get into the today.
And you teased, I think, probably the biggest story that wrote the most implications, right? That the Pac-2 is now the 6-pack, soon to maybe be the 8-pack, and I am liking this conference the way it's shaken up right now. You got a couple things I love is that one, every school has state. They're a state school, right? And then 4 of them are a state school, and 4 of them are a not state school. Let me see if I can name them all off the top of my head. So obviously Oregon State and Washington State. And then we've got Colorado State. We've got Fresno State. Well, hold on. Let me do the states. So Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State. Hold on. Give me a second.
You're missing one.
Huh?
You're missing one. You got.
I know. I'm trying to think. What's the other not state?
What's the other not state?
Where's the other not state? I did San Diego. I did Fresno. Boise. That's a nice little conference. That is a nice little conference, and they can do something exciting here. We talked about this, right? Of like, there's some other schools in the Mountain West that they could try and pick up. I don't think anyone in the Big 12 would go to them, given Big 12 is one of the conferences that absorbed the former Pac schools. ACC, man, it would be great if you could just convince Cal and Stanford to come on back and drop their experiment.
I think they would love to, but I doubt the ACC, especially with the eventual departure of Florida State and Clemson, because I think I mean, obviously they want to get out of it as fast as possible, but I think they're clearly going to leave when that contract ends in 8 years, 7 years. So I think Cal and Stanford would love to go back, but I don't know that the ACC is going to let them.
Although Cal has had plenty of success now in the ACC, and their Twitter is popping off like crazy. It is so funny to see. Just not just Cal's Twitter, but Cal fan Twitter is really something right now. But I mean,
I texted you who I thought I don't think I
want to get into
anyone Power 4. I personally think they left an egregious team off of the list, and I think because they aren't a part of this initial wave, I would doubt that they're going to be the next two to join, one of the next two. I mean, you literally have formerly the Pac-12 championship based in a city that you're not going to take the team that's based in that city. I mean, the turnover slot machine. How do they not include UNLV? I get it. They're a bit of a shit show as far as schools go, but like you have so many things headquartered in Vegas now,
right?
And you're not even going to take the school that's in Vegas who has been successful. So football,
super successful, yeah,
right. I'm a bit shocked, and I don't know that it's going to happen now. I'd be surprised at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the question is the Pac going to be, even with I think with their additions, they got some really strong teams that could have graduated to the Power Four soon, especially Boise, right? I think that they've been a long time coming to the Power Four, or Power Five, I guess it could be. San Diego State, Fresno State have their share of successes. Colorado State, can keep up. I don't know. They just lost to Colorado, which is, it gets a rivalry game. But the interesting thing that we talked about too, if they're not going to be, I'm sure they would much prefer to get some group of 5 teams and then become a Power 5 conference again. But, would be real interesting if they got some FCS schools like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, teams that just beat up in that conference to bump on up to the FBS. And I mean, then maybe the group of 5 becomes the group of 6, but that's a really fun conference right there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because now what they said was because they need to get to 8. So I don't think they're probably going to go too much further than that, especially for now. I think they just want to get to 8 so they can keep all of the charter and still be a conference, and not lose all of that. So it was interesting that they said that the 4 that they brought in are going to have a say in the last 2. So it was kind of like purposeful, right? They didn't want to just have Oregon State and Washington State dictate it all. They did want to include the other 4 schools. And I feel like the writing's kind of on the wall as far as like staying regional. I think like they probably would have just pulled 6 instead of 4. So I actually think those 2 FCS schools are probably going to make that jump to the Mountain West, because the Mountain West has already talked about how they're looking, and I think that would be perfect. I think that would be perfect for them. I think those schools would be successful in that too and make it competitive. A name that I tossed out, and I think I saw someone else toss it out as well, is if they're going to expand, I really think like you start to look at, probably not too far east, but like little Fun Belt action with Tulane. I think like you pull New Orleans, because you also have to think about media markets. Like it is just kind of how it works, right? Like San Diego State, you get a big media market, especially without professional football down there now, right? I think Colorado State was kind of a play for some Denver-ish. They're in Fort Collins, yeah. So like Fort Collins area, Denver-ish. So you pull something like Tulane, which is again a school that's had some sustained success recently. They're based in downtown New Orleans. That's far enough away from Baton Rouge where they can probably pull some of that media market. I think that would be a good spot.
I do want to call out that Tulane's in the American Athletic Conference. I know that.
Is it American?
What?
They're the American. Okay, sorry.
Because East Carolina in NCAA, I played them, but I did want to pull it up here. If they did get Tulane, Memphis could potentially make a jump. So you could also that's another American Athletic Conference school. North Texas would be interesting.
I was gonna say, I feel like they probably want to get into Texas. It's just picking the right one, right? Like
South Florida. I mean, South Florida was a Big East school.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tulsa would be interesting. Oklahoma, right? UTSA. I mean, the
I was gonna
Roadrunners.
say,
If you took North Texas and UTSA, that would be pretty. That'd be pretty compelling. Or Memphis too. Let's see what else they got. That's the American who I'd be interested to see. Conference USA. No one's super compelling there. Although you could get New Mexico State, and then Jacksonville State, and then you could keep with the state theme. That would be interesting. Let's see.
That sounds like something we would do when we did our conference reorg, where we just had the state conference.
I mean, I don't hate it, man. I don't think they're gonna get a MAC school. The MAC's like too tight. There's no way they'd want to break that up.
I don't think there's any value there either.
No. I mean, if you look at the Sun Belt, and again, I think that the Sun Belt's one of those conferences that is pretty tight. They might not want to break it up, but there's some compelling names in the Sun Belt, like Coastal Carolina, James Madison, App State, Georgia State, the Raging Cajuns. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting names out there. I do love the idea. Just as I think about this now, it would be great if the Pac and Mountain West could somehow like reconcile. And let's say the Mountain West gets like South Dakota State, North Dakota State. Let's say Idaho, the Vandals are pretty strong. And you get like Eastern Washington, and then you get like Montana and Montana State, right? Let's say they grab like 6 teams, right? So they go from they lose 4, but they get an extra 2, right? Bring in 6 total. And then let's say, the Pac, they become the Pac-8, figure out how they get there, right? Maybe they add UNLV and Nevada, right? So then you have 8 there. The Mountain West stays at 12 or wherever they're at. And then we get this kind of like agreement that we can do promotion and relegation. And like the bottom 2 teams from each conference just switch conferences every year. And you get some kind of like great profit sharing thing happen. And then just this Mountain West Pac, like super conference with promotion and relegation becomes the future of college football.
See, I would love that. I honestly don't think that would be a terrible idea if the NCAA isn't going to recognize the Pac-12 as a group of 5, as a Power 5. So if they're going to say, because I was reading about it, and technically it's like someone was posting about this because of the Pac-12. I don't think the playoff committee, I don't think it's actually put as like the top 4 Power 4 conference leaders. I think it's the highest ranked conference leader
for the buys,
conference winners
for the buys.
I think just even for the automatic bids, like I don't think there's anything written that it has to be Power 4 versus Group of 5. I think it's just the top 4 is how it's written, is the top 4 highest ranked conference winners. Now that has a lot of like, obviously you have to be in a good conference to get, the strength schedule to have that. So it's essentially, but technically I don't think it's written. I thought it was written as like Power 4.
I think you're right. That there are the top 5 ranked conference champions get an auto bid.
Yeah.
And 4 of that, the top 4 get a bye. That is, I believe that you're correct how it's written.
Yeah.
Because I've also seen this in the game. It must be how it's written or the game files are incorrect, because in the game I've seen it. I had a save where like Texas State and Rice both got a bye.
Yeah.
So they, were 2 of the top 4 ranked conference champions.
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised and I think it's just the assumption and how people have talked about it is clearly the Power 4 conference winners are going to be the highest ranked, and there isn't likely to be a Group of 5 team just because of strength of schedule that's going to be able to outrank them. But technically, it could happen, right? If you just had a really down year in a Power 4 conference and you had a Group of 5 team that maybe beat maybe a ranked non-conference opponent and an unranked like a Power 4 opponent and an unranked Power 4 opponent. I think it could happen, but anyway, all that to say, like, if I'm the Pac-12 and I know that my conference winner is not likely to get an auto bid, like it's not a given, I'd 100%, because I think that's the big thing is, right, they want to distance themselves from the Mountain West, or they would have just combined, or the 2 would have combined to the Mountain West. I think they really want that distinction. But if they're not going to be seen as on the same tier as the other 4, then I'd say fuck it, because I think that would be an amazing.
I mean,
system.
as we sit here right now, right, I'm just kind of like looking around a little bit, but like what you're saying could happen this year, right? Like I'm not saying it's going to. I don't think in actuality it's going to, but it's a type of situation where like look at the MAC. You have Toledo and Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois is ranked, and they have a Power 5 win. Toledo obviously just beat up on Mississippi State. I mean, they're both undefeated. If they were to go on and face each other in the championship game, and then like one of them's undefeated, it's like, well, that's pretty high ranking. And then, let's say like UNLV goes undefeated and wins the Mountain West, and then like crazy things happen in like the ACC and the Big 12 where you have like, I don't know, a 3-loss conference champion or something there. You could have that type of situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would love that. Could you imagine like Northern Illinois getting a bye?
Yes, that would be awesome. That would be incredible.
Or even just them having a whole, like they're the 5th seed and you have to play at, I don't even know the name of it, the name of the stadium.
I'll find it for you, bud. You don't have this one? You don't have this club in your bag? You don't know off the top of your head?
Is it in DeKalb? I'm pretty sure I at least have the city right.
Let me check.
Tell me where those Huskies?
They are indeed the Huskies. It's Husky Stadium. Right. Let me see. I'm trying to buy tickets. It is in DeKalb. Husky Stadium in DeKalb. Yes.
Come on, I got 2 out of 3, right?
Yes. Tickets as low as $27. They're hosting the Buffs. Anyways. Yeah, that would be exciting. That would be super cool. It would be something if Notre Dame drew them if they make it to the playoffs.
That'd be such a troll job by the committee.
They'd have to. Like I don't care what the rankings are. They would have to find a way to make that happen.
Oh, that would be amazing. Well,
and then that coach would feel like a real jackass for telling Marcus Freeman exactly how he beat him. Yeah, I'll help him out. I'll help my brother out. Coaching's tough. I want to, help my coaching brethren to be successful. Wrong. That's why you don't help people.
Okay, now I think we have a new thing to root for now. I think we have to keep a tracker. I think we have to watch Northern Illinois the rest of the year and just root at Toledo. I'm sorry, I don't know who you've been playing. I think we need you guys to throw a couple games here and get these Huskies into the playoff because that would be storybook if they got to host Notre Dame in a playoff game.
I mean, October 19th, they go to Husky Stadium. The Rockets go to Husky Stadium. So we'll see, man. And
is my boy Rocky still throwing the ball out there? Is he still slinging that pill?
Is Rocky still the QB for it? Okay, let me see. Tucker Gleason is the quarterback for 662 yards through 3 games, 87.1 QBR. Willie Shaw the third is their running back. Oh, they have 2. Oh no, sorry. Then Junior Vandross the third. They've got 2 guys there the third.
Luther Vandross?
Junior Vandross the third.
Okay.
Let me just say that again. Junior Vandross the third is this man's name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think we found our team.
That's a key MPO. No, this is Toledo. Toledo is Junior Vandross. But no, let me see if sorry, I didn't know where Rocky went. I didn't know if Rocky Lombardi was with the Rockets or if he was with North Illinois. Ethan Hampton, 526 passing yards, 92.7 QBR.
He might have graduated. I had a feeling he graduated. But.
Okay. They're running back. So, you thought I said Luther Vandross, Junior Vandross, the star wide receiver for the Rockets.
I'm seeing it now.
Ontario Brown. Brown. So close to Antonio.
This is definitely Antonio. This is like those skits where it's like, wait, who is that?
Ontario.
Is that Is that Fett Barv out there playing quarterback for the Packers? Ontario Brown couldn't even do any better than that.
Tim Brody, starting quarterback,
right,
for the Michigan Wolverines.
I mean, look at Ethan Hampton. He's got quite the stash too.
He does. I mean,
look at those. Look at that, people.
He's a put together fella.
Yeah, he is. Wow. All right, I think we got our new team here. I think we really have to keep an eye out on these Huskies, and I hope they don't break our heart next week, because that's probably what would happen.
Well, not this week. They play Buffalo this week, who's booty cheeks. So
you never know, man.
I do. In fact, I'm just going to go. I don't even know what the spread is, but
is this going to be a pod pick?
I don't know what the spread is, but I've been betting against Buffalo all year, except this past week when they played UMass. Or I bet Buffalo, because UMass is worse cheeks than Buffalo is. Let's see if I can pull up the spread here.
Yeah, I mean, I can give at least the ESPN, which will be relatively close to what it would be. Let's see, where are those guys at?
I have it. I pulled it up on ESPN, but I'm not seeing the spread right now.
Yeah, I see it. They have it at minus 14.
Oh, yeah.
14.5. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. They covered 28.5 against Notre Dame. I think they can win by 2 touchdowns against Buffalo.
You think?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
All right. Anything else to say? I think we're both super excited to get the Pac-8. Pac-12 after dark. What do we got? The 8-pack. The late 8-pack.
This is the 6-pack for now. They gotta be the 6-pack until they get their 2 remaining teams.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're not gonna actually be a pack anything until they get those 2. Something with the late and the 8.
Yeah.
Late 8. The late 8-pack.
8.
I don't know.
Yes.
Somebody will come up with something, but yeah, we're excited. Now we get to. I mean, hopefully they get a TV deal. I think that was a lot of the reason why they stopped being the Pac-12. So that'll be exciting though, because now we're like, Mountain West teams aren't always on TV or anything. Mm-hmm. So we actually might get to watch some of these cool matchups, just for us nerds that will stay up and watch them.
I would love if the Mountain West or the Pac work out a deal like how on Tuesdays and Wednesdays we get Maction. Could we not just have these guys play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at midnight Eastern time? Can we just do those kickoffs super late?
I'd be fine if it just was one of our biscuits. Just give us Friday nights. Friday night, just a Friday night.
Yeah, actually, a full Friday slate. These teams just play 6 games on Fridays.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why don't we get to our trophy? So we had talked about it briefly last week. 2 of our favorite rivalries, and especially since we've adopted Oregon State and Washington State as some of our favorite teams here. Talked about the Civil War last week, and now we are talking about the Apple Cup this week, which is the rivalry game between the Washington Huskies and the Washington State Cougars. Do you know what this trophy looks like?
I don't actually. I obviously know the name was the Apple Cup.
Yes.
I had no idea what it looked like. I have a guess, and we can get to that at the appropriate time, but
now's the appropriate time.
A bushel.
What's your guess?
A bushel of apples. If this thing isn't a nice wooden bushel of apples, I'm going to be severely disappointed. And I wish it was the Apple toy as a kid, where you got the green and the red apples, that you put in the bucket. Or maybe I'm Mandela affecting this toy existing, but I could swear that there was some toy when you were a kid of red and green apples that you put into a bucket. Again, I could totally be Mandela affecting this, but that's what I'd like to see. Is red and purple apples in the bucket, and you get a new apple every time you win, and you get a nice little bushel of apples that you get to carry around.
I like that.
Well,
we will see if you were right or wrong.
We will see. I'm probably wrong, but
I don't know. Once in a while, though. Once in a while, when you got that goblet of fire, man, you really nailed that one. So.
I mean, that just it felt right. It felt right, you know.
All right, so a little bit of the history of this rivalry. So the first game was played in 1900, and it resulted in a hard-fought 5-5 tie. This was before you were allowed to pass the ball. You literally just had to run at each other.
There was a scoregami this weekend. I forget who it was, but it was 59-2. I think it's the only time like it's happened at any level of college football, a score of 59-2. And the 2 was not a safety. They returned a missed PAT for the house. That's how they got the 2 points.
That's awesome.
Like, so that's for sure the only time that's happened. So in like any level of football.
Yeah. So this game was traditionally played in the final game of the regular season for both of the teams. Generally took place on the Saturday preceding Thanksgiving, similar to Civil War last year. But as you guys are aware, the game was played last week because of the implosion of the Pac-12. So,
and you know what? I'm okay with it. Like I was a little. I mean, first off, they're playing the game. That works for me. But like, you know, secondly, I really like these rivalry games when like we're still in September, like it's not, or you know, early October, like it's not cold, it's not snowing, but there is like a old nip in the air, a little briskness. The leaves are starting to change colors. I feel like that is a nice little teaser. You know, like let's get a little taste of some pure hatred early on the season. So I think it's great. I think more teams, if you are not playing your rivalry game in week 13, you should play it in like week 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we loved about the Big Ten is not only did they just have a high volume of rivalry trophies, but they were pretty scattered throughout the year.
Yeah.
Like Michigan State is always, you know, second or third week in October, you know, mainly because they save the game for the end, but it's still a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And we'll get back to note. Don't let me forget. Another one of our favorite trophies this weekend. Just say that to me and I'll remember what it is.
Got it.
So this series, Washington leads 76 wins to 34 losses and 6 ties, because the old Cougs came away with the W this weekend. One of the two that we got right. And this year's game. So yeah, I took this down before the game happened, but this game was the 116th matchup, and the first as non-conference foes for the first time in, you know, decades.
Right.
So before they played for the Apple Cup,
I see the words that are sitting there. I'm very excited.
They played for the Governor's Trophy.
Hell yeah, they did.
We have a lot of Governor's trophies.
I love me a Governor's Trophy.
So this game was played regularly between 1900 and 1945, only missing a couple of years here and there. It has now been played since 1945 annually, with the exception of 2020 due to COVID. The Pac-12, I think most conferences at least got a couple of games in during COVID, but the Pac-12 was way late to that game, mainly just because of some of the politics.
West Coast politics.
So, yes. So the rivalry was not dubbed the Apple Cup until 1963.
That's pretty late.
But it did have a trophy. Named the Governor's Trophy, that was given to the winning team between 1934 and 1946. So why don't you scroll down and tell the people what?
I hit pause. That was my bad. Hit pause. It's all right. I know it's gonna it was a quick little pause. No, I already hit play again, so it's fine. It's all good. Like I'm scrolling down to the trophy. I bet they barely missed a word.
Yeah, guys, yeah. While you probably don't miss a word, this just means I have to edit a little bit more now.
No. I hit pause. I didn't hit stop.
Okay.
If I hit stop, then we'd be all screwed up. I just hit pause. Okay. And I resumed it. So it's all.
Please move your cursor away from anywhere near the pause or the end button, please. And now scroll.
Oh, I mean, this is. It's essentially a coat of arms. It's a big old copper, brass, I guess bronze. That's the word. That's the metal we're looking for. It's a big bronze, like coat of arms looking thing with like a round top coming to a point at the bottom. There are 2 lions on it. Looks like the lions are toasting a beer with the seal of George Washington on it. Hence, the state of Washington. I don't know if that's their state seal or whatever.
Yes, it is. It's
okay, fun. Great. Perfect. And then right below that says the governor's trophy present annually to the winner of the Washington State College University of Washington football game. And then there are little like rectangles, 8 rectangles beneath that, row 4, row 3, and then 1, where it looks like they engraved the winners and the scores on it. This thing looks it looks like it's adorned to a wooden base. This thing looks beefy. This thing looks heavy. This thing looks majestic. And the fact that they have 2 lions toasting what looks like beers to the state emblem is their state seal is just fantastic.
Think about it. Are those lions?
Is that? Oh, those aren't lions. Is that a cougar and a husky? It is. Oh, when I look a little bit closer, oh, that's a cougar and a husky. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this bronze shield, so another way, coat of arms, another way to think of it is like a shield, like a 300 style shield. So this bronze shield was
not 300 style, not 300 style. 300, the Spartans had circle shields. This is not a Spartan shield at all. This is I would say more probably in line with like medieval England, sure. Medieval French type of shield. Definitely not the type that were used by the Spartans with their phalanx, formations, which are very specific why those shields were the way they were and the size they were. Also not similar to what you'd see used by like Troy, for example, by the Trojans. That was more, or the Roman legionnaires. That was very long and rectangular. So no, you could not be more wrong, Edmund. This is more aligned with the medieval French or English shield.
Thanks, Professor.
Yeah, you got
it. So this shield was made by sculptor.
I don't want the people to be thinking the wrong things. I have to be
talking about a coat of armor. You could just say it's a shield. Well, I'm trying to help people visualize this. It's a shield. If I said
looks more closer to a coat of arms, the way I gave them the circle top, point at the bottom,
which is also a shield. If I were to say what's a shield look like, it's going to be this.
I would say it looks like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose if we're talking about the shield. But anyways.
All right, so this one was made by sculptor Dudley Pratt and was donated and awarded by Governor Clarence D. Martin, who was an alumnus of the University of Washington and is actually the namesake of Pullman's Martin Stadium. So an interesting little tidbit there. And then, as you said, the winners for the years 1934 and 1939 are etched on the shield. And this beautiful trophy is now on display at the Washington State Capitol building in Olympia. So if you guys are visiting the Seattle area, Olympia is not too far away from that. So go ahead, pop in there. Don't go to see anything else in that Capitol building. You don't need to talk about any politicians. You just go looking for that rivalry trophy.
Yeah. We're not here for the politics, baby. We're here for the rivalry trophies.
Where's the shield at? Okay. On to the Apple Cup. So, like I said, 1963 is when. So there was a couple decade, 18 years where there was not a trophy, and then they came up with the Apple Cup trophy in 1963. So why don't you tell the people what this bad boy looks like, and then I will tell you all about it afterwards.
Oh yeah. Do I like it? This is really.
This might be the first time in a long time you might have some corrections.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Gosh, the first descriptor coming to me is like juvenile, like very JV type of old bush league type trophy here. So it's a wooden base with a bronze plaque on the front where they engrave all the the scores of the game and stuff like that in the years. And then on top of that is a more slender trapezoidal, like upside down trapezoid column. It's slender, it's pretty long. And there's a bronze plate on that too that says UW WSU Apple Cup with a apple on it and the Washington State logo trophy. Proudly sponsored by Boeing, more like boring. And then there's just the most like prototypical, stereotypical, like spelling bee champion ass trophy that you could ever imagine. On top of that, which it's like a chalice, like a big cup with like two handles on each side, and then there is the best feature is that there is a apple on top of said cup. I can't see quite what's holding the apple in the air. That's a little hard to see.
Scroll down a little bit.
Oh, thank you. What is that? What's holding the apple in the air?
It's like a C shape. Like, I don't know that it's supposed to be anything.
That's yeah. I mean, here's some pictures of people holding the trophy. So it's pretty tall. I mean, a former Washington QB is holding it up, and it goes from about his waist to his head, roughly. So I mean, it's a pretty tall trophy. It's decent sized and everything like that. They got it out on the field and stuff. So I mean, it's good size, but I just can't help but feel like I can't feel good about it. In that first trophy, did the apple break off? The first picture, did the apple break off?
That's a good question.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it does look like it.
Looks like the apple snapped right off.
Yeah. That's why he has a shit-eating smirk.
Yeah, could be.
On his face.
Could be. Yeah, I mean.
So keep in mind, this was a 1963 creation, so maybe they just didn't have quite the vision. This was donated to the game by the Washington Apple Commission, which was emblematic of Washington's national reputation as a major producer of apples, and this award then was referred to as the Apple Cup. Interesting enough, though, the apple was not recognized as Washington's state fruit until 1989. So it's just kind of like a well-known fact that they produce a ton of apples. It was clearly, a thing for people in Washington, but it was not recognized as the state fruit until much later.
Until 89, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh.
So the state's governor presents this Apple Cup trophy to the winner after the game. So at least it is given on the field as you described, the players holding it, but it is given by the governor every year. And the rivalry nickname has allowed for some humorous play on words. For instance, one game in 2008 between the two teams was jokingly called the Crapple Cup and full of worms, due to Washington's 0-11 record and Washington State's 1-10 record. And the Cougars that year would keep the Huskies winless, but it took 2 overtimes to seal the victory in 2000.
Yeah, never know what can happen in a rivalry game, man.
And then a little bit about the future of the rivalry. So as we talked about, the Washington joined the Big Ten and Washington State was kind of left out to dry. Now it looks like they're in the process of rebooting the Pac-12 to the Pac-8 eventually. It's currently the 6-pack. But that does mean that they're going to, at least for, the foreseeable future, likely, for a long, long time, be non-conference foes. The good news is these two schools agreed to extend the series a little bit further than Oregon and Oregon State. So Oregon and Oregon State only guaranteed this year and next year, but the Washington schools are extending the series through 2028.
Good for them.
So with home games alternating the different sites, although this year it was played at Lumen Field, which is where the Seahawks play, which is, obviously much closer because the University of Washington is in Seattle, just a little bit north of downtown. So it was much more of a home game for them than out in Pullman on the east side of the state. But the next 4 matchups will alternate between Pullman next year, Seattle, Pullman, and then Seattle, the other Husky Stadium. Not the one that we currently care about. So that's all I got. Unfortunately, there just wasn't a ton of history to talk about when it comes to the trophy. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there was any fun stories of losing, stealing, anything of that nature. Although I think we both are aware of the significance the rivalry has.
Yeah, I think I think kids used to be able to get away with a lot more back in the day, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some stories about the older trophy made. That thing was so heavy, I don't know how you'd steal it. But like this new one, I mean, this dovetails nicely in my rankings. Anytime I see proudly sponsored by corporation on it, it sticks in my craw because I don't think that we've seen one of those trophies where I've been like, hell yeah, Boeing, way to go, man. Way to go. and really, really crush this design because they're going to put their name on something. They have, probably input on the design. So,
until we have a trophy sponsored after us, then we will make sure we will make sure that you all will not be disappointed.
That's true. I guess, is the $5 Bits Broken Chair sponsored by that charity?
I don't think officially. I don't think it has anything on it.
I couldn't remember if it did or not, but that would be the only exception. But that's exception to the rule in a lot of ways. But so as far as my rankings go for this one, so I do like the size of it, and we're just ranking the current iteration of the trophy, right?
Yeah. Although I will say that governor's trophy is the best governor's trophy we've done thus far.
Well, I would disagree because I don't know if you remember the land grant trophy. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but that one was
the one I despise.
Yeah, weird. That is the first. I'll have to go back and check the rankings. I think that's the furthest part we've ever been.
Yeah, but that's not a true governor's trophy though. I think it was Minnesota has a governor's trophy. That's really called the land grant trophy. So I wouldn't consider that. Although, the governors have been involved in multiple trophies. I think this might be the third governor's trophy we've talked about, and I don't know. I mean, I would put that shield up against anything. Fuck it. Well, let's do the governor's trophy and the Apple Cup. We'll
rank above. We'll rank above. Okay, yep. I'm gonna make it.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. And you know what I gotta say? Just as we're doing this, I'm gonna actually put this Apple Cup governors.
Because I think we ranked the Land of Lincoln because of all the iterations that they had leading to that. I think we might have done that for that one too, way back when.
And didn't? Yes. I think we
there's a bunch of Native American related ones that were seen.
Yeah, Sweet Sue. Yeah. Okay. All right. So ranking them separately. So the current iteration is sizable. The apple at the top is endearing. That being said, just everything below the apple just leaves me wanting more. Yeah. So I'm gonna say it's a 2. I'm gonna say it's a 2. It's really very unimaginative. And the trophy like at the top really just pisses me off because it reminds me of a trophy you get for like a spelling bee. And we're not here to spell words. We're here to play football. We're here for the air raid. That's not what Washington football is. Now, the governor's trophy. The fact that you point out that it's a Cougar and a Husky and they're touching the seal like that, I'm going to say that they're holding like beer steins. I don't know if that's the case. I can't zoom in that far. I'm going to say it. It's big. It's beefy. It's awesome. I'm going to give that one. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to give it a 5. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was fantastic. It made me very, very happy. It's a great governor's trophy. And I'm also going to say governors, when they're giving trophies, no good. Chancellors, if a chancellor's giving out a trophy, yeah, that's what you want. Between the Chancellor's Cup, the Chancellor's Spurs, chancellors have the good trophies. So governors, tired, chancellors, wired.
Okay, so I'm not going to be as harsh with the ranking as you did for the Apple Cup, but I'll probably put it at a 2.5. I feel like it's just average. If we're saying like a 5's perfect, I think it's right there, like almost a 3. But like you said, it's very basic. The only somewhat saving grace is it does at least have the apple on top, which it gives it some uniqueness. But it looks nice in the sense of like the design and everything. Like you said, it looks like a spelling bee, but we've seen some like poorly put together ones that even just fuck up a cup, right? Like will mess up a plaque and a cup on top. Mm-hmm. So at least this one looks like, presentable, and it has a little apple. So I'll go 2.5, a little bit higher than you, but it's just pretty boring and obviously has so many other options, which we will get to in a little bit here. But the governor's trophy is a 5 for sure. I mean, it's a bronze shield, so that's just awesome, like signifying like a battle, right? Like, so I love that. And then just the detail, even though it was created way, way, way back then, when in the 30s, the fact that it does have that detail of the Cougars and the Huskies is pretty cool. Especially on something that, obviously they didn't imagine like the Apple or anything like that. They still were able to bring the two schools, like something significant and unique about two schools.
And that's something we often say with these rivalries is that like if we think about ways to improve the trophy, incorporating your mascots is like a slam dunk to like in most cases. So I think that to have that foresight in the 30s and see that this is such a natural thing, I think it's fantastic. Okay, history of the trophy. So I mean, with the Apple Cup, I'm going to say, like, I like that they exchange every year. I guess this is where, like, the history, for me, actually, maybe this is where, like, we should just look at it as one, I think, instead of splitting out into two. If we look at it just as, like, one trophy together and the history throughout, I think it's good. It shows kind of progression. I think switching to the Apple Cup is, like, a cool name and a cool nod to the state and stuff like that. I liked it, went through multiple iterations, so I think that's pretty cool. It's nice that they give it out on the field and everything like that, and that they can parade on the field. So I'm gonna say like a 3.5 as far as the history goes. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a 4, just a little bit above, just because I love the idea that they have had a trophy for so long. Like, yes, there was a gap, right? There was an 18-year gap, but the fact that, like you'd mentioned, they thought about having a trophy, in the 30s, and then they decided, we need another trophy, in the 60s, and now that same trophy has been the trophy now for 70 years. I think no, my math is way off on that. 60 years? Oh my God, 60 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So 60 years. That's just impressive. I like the longevity of it. and then all the other reasons you
what keeps you away from
mentioned.
the four range when it's been a trophy for they've had a trophy in the rivalry for 90 years now. That's right, 1934 is 90 years ago. Is just some type of shenanigan. If you just give me one shenanigan, you're probably a 4 level for me, maybe even 4.5. But yeah, I need a shenanigan. The rivalry itself, 5. I mean, these teams really get after it, don't like each other. So I know what clearly know what it means to these teams. So I'm going to say a 5. Why is
Yeah, same. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to rank. Like, I feel like if you're an in-state rival, especially in this case where they're at the same level for so many years and it's been like the in-state rivalry, I mean, you're automatically at like a 4, pretty much a 4.5 in my mind. And then the fact that this is a pretty heated rivalry that means something to both schools. It's not, one poo-pooing on the other, although, you'll have Washington fans that try to look, towards the Cascade clash. But this one means something, or they wouldn't have extended it like they did pretty quickly too. So it's a 5 for me.
Cool. I'm making an executive decision here. I'm taking our composite scores from the Governor's Trophy and the current trophy, combining them together to give us an average. So between the two trophies, just to make it, because we do the rankings, so I want to make sure that we're being clear about this. So we'll do a 3.5 for me based on my 5 and my 2, and a 3.75 for you based on your 5 and your 2.5. You cool with that?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. And then competitiveness, I am going to put it just a notch below last week's trophy. And I'm just using it as a frame of reference, and 4.5, because I feel like Oregon State, I feel like that there's more, historically, there's been more to play for between those two teams than there has between Washington State. If I go back and look at the math, I don't know how that all would work out, but it just feels to me like there is more, and that's some recency bias because Oregon hasn't been good for that long. But like, that's just how I feel when thinking about these two teams. It's just a notch below Oregon State for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's still a pretty solid 40 game difference, and that's not, that's a decent gap. And if I'm just kind of scrolling now, and even in some of Washington State's best years, with our boy Mike Leach, Washington still took care of business more times than not. But the games have been pretty close. Looking at some of these scores, I mean, there's been the blowouts, but a lot of these ones have been last possession type of games. So for me, yeah, I agree. It's a step below. I'll probably say 4 as far as competitiveness goes.
Yeah. And then tier, I'm going to put in the top tier. Like, even though I don't like the current iteration of the trophy, I don't want to hold that against it. It's a really good rivalry, and yeah. So top tier for me.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably towards the bottom because of the disappointment. But top tier, but the bottom of the top tier, mainly just because of just the disappointment on kind of what could be with the trophy. But love the iterations, love the uniqueness as far as the name goes. Love the fact that like one school's in basically downtown Seattle and the other one's out in this like wilderness scary place that no one wants to ever play in past a certain point of the year. Like that, also like the dichotomy of the two locations. I feel like doesn't happen very often.
No.
I feel like most times, college towns are pretty similar, but that's got to be a pretty drastic difference. And I don't know. I don't know that there's too many. Even Oregon State, like Eugene isn't a huge town, probably bigger than Corvallis. I'll let you know, but I don't think like it's as big of a difference, from Seattle to Pullman.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that's like really drastically different, as I go across the country.
I mean, it's like Madison is the capital versus like Iowa City is not, so maybe that's a bigger difference, but it's not like Madison's this huge metropolitan. I don't think, I've never been, but I don't think it is.
Ann
Arbor and East Lansing are pretty similar. so there's not a big difference there. I mean, even Columbus and Ann Arbor, if you want to go that route, is still like, while Columbus is the capital, I don't know that it's like a huge city either. It's probably a little bigger than Ann Arbor.
And when you get down south, it's like all like in the SEC,
just towns,
like college towns,
just college towns. Baton Rouge, I mean, it's probably one of the bigger ones because it's the capital, but like, I wouldn't say there's probably a huge difference.
I guess, I mean, probably the biggest difference, right, is if you think of like
Texas, Oklahoma, Austin,
but compared to Norman,
I don't think Norman's probably. I think is much more of a college town, and Austin is a. It's not a huge city, but it's a Nashville sized city. Like, it's a pretty big city.
It's growing like crazy. I mean, that could be a bigger difference. I was gonna say the biggest one that I can think of is probably something that we might get to is like LA versus South Bend, right? Like, that obviously is a huge difference there. Yeah, but that's you're not even in the same conference, so.
Right?
Neither of these teams, I guess, but still.
Okay, what would you change? I loved your idea earlier. Your guess to it. I think I think like a bronze. I don't, adding the apples, they're different colors. That's an interesting concept. But like, even like a bronze, like I was hoping when I'd look at it, what I was truly really hoping was like a big bronzed apple cup. Like, you could even have the base of the trophy be a wooden base, like a carved out, looking like a bushel of apples. Okay, I'm cooking now. So you get like a tree trunk, right? Like a big tree trunk from Washington has all this wilderness, right? So you take a massive tree trunk, like I'm talking sequoia, redwood, something huge. And then that's what you kind of like carve the bushel, the basket of apples out of. It's not like, I'm not talking like make a real basket, like etch it, like etch it into the sides, like the details of this, as if it were like a basket that was hewn together. And then on the top. Okay.
Like how they do like those like tree trunk carvings and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not talking like we take a tree and we make a basket.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
I'm talking it's a big piece of the tree.
Yeah.
And like you etch in the details to make it look like a basket, right?
Okay. Yep.
And then you have bronze apples on top, many of them. Like, I mean, this is a tree trunk, right? So like a lot of apples on top. I want this thing to be impossible to carry. I'm saying we got to get
three offensive linemen.
We have three. We got the offensive and defensive lines carrying this sucker on the field. This thing is going to be unwieldy, a real problem to carry. If someone drops it, they're done for the season because they got to amputate their foot. Like, it is. This thing's huge, is what I'm talking. You might not even be able to lift it. You might have to bring out a little cart. You might have to have a wagon that you pull it out with. So yeah, that's what I want, is something really big and like unwieldy, and it looks like Paul Bunyan went apple picking, right? Like that's what I'm thinking.
I love that idea. I'm trying to think.
It's good, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. I would maybe, okay. So I would say I would like them to be painted, the apples. I think that would be cool. Maybe like you said, maybe add an apple or something like that along those lines, or leave them all bronze but only paint the victories, whatever the case may be.
Leave the apples bronze, paint the base.
Oh, like
wooden
half
base.
Yeah,
you could do half red, half purple, with the logo, with the W and the Washington State logo on it.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that idea. The only other thing I would add is like they have to eat apples.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You know,
there has to be like that Orange Bowl or the Mayo Bowl. Like, and now we have like, especially in all these bowl games, which is probably the only thing worth watching now. About those is the gimmick, with the Pop-Tarts, and someone else is going to do something for sure this year because of the success of the Pop-Tart. But they have to eat apples. Like the winning team, it can't cost that much. You're the fucking state of apples. So
yeah, you know what you could do. Yeah, you know what you could do is you could I'm trying to think of how you could do. Like, I have two thoughts, but I want to make it so it doesn't look weird. Like when you have like the amount of like bronze apples, you could leave a little bowl at the top that then they put apples into at the top, like only a couple. Maybe it's a few apples, right? And or what you could do to get more apples in would be like that same bowl concept, but further down. It's like as if it were built like a third of the way up, and then you have like a pole with like one apple at the top, right? And then you just kind of fill them in, almost like a tiered type of thing. So
don't even need that. A single apple. We're gonna do this like Thanksgiving, NFL style, where they give an MVP after the game and they get to eat the turkey leg.
Yes.
There's just the single MVP apple. For the player that's given the MVP that year.
Yes.
I would love it if it was the opposing team, like the losing team, right? Where you have to go up and take that apple and make them take that bite. But yeah, I think like there should be some real apple something. That'd be cool. That'd be a nice little fun addition.
Yes. But no, I think that's kind of my thought. I would love a tree trunk hewn thing. What made me think about is our concept for the Cascade Clash, which we need to sort out sometime. But that when you're in that much wooded territory, I need you to start paying respect to Mother Nature and hack down one of her trees to make a trophy out of it. So
yeah, I mean, I hope that this podcast finds the ears one day of some sort of like AD from a school, or
chancellor,
maybe an alumni association of a school, and they're like, our rivalry needs a goddamn trophy. These guys are the one that's going to design it, because we will gladly be obliged.
Oh yeah.
So like I'd mentioned, this game had already been played last weekend. Washington State won. I don't have the score. It was like a 4-point win, I want to say. 23-19 is stuck in my head, but I don't know if that's correct. What do we got?
Stand by. 24-19.
24-19. See, I was close. So it was a great game. What I didn't realize, because it was on Peacock, and it's so annoying, and I had to scroll back and forth. I actually was watching The Princess and the Frog was on my TV for a certain amount of time during college football. So I didn't realize that the game came down to a stop at the goal line, like a fourth down. It was a run, a designed run to the right pylon, and Washington State stopped them. So
wow.
Great game, and so that game was played this last weekend, so it will not be on your screen, unfortunately, this weekend. And that's going to do it for us this week.
Wait, other favorite trophy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other favorite trophy.
Yes.
I did not realize until I was scrolling on my phone, and now I want to really double check to make sure that it's this week, but I'm very certain it is. Folks, I already texted Mike. I had a terrible pick'em week, and my immediate thought was, how am I going to fucking fix this next week? And I already quickly jumped on the line just to see, is there a biscuit game that I just immediately loved? There isn't as of now, but I was trying to just look at lines, and a game came across my eye. Yes, it is this weekend, right? I mean, it's one of our favorites. It is my personal favorite trophy in all of college football. Floyd of Rosedale will be making an appearance this weekend when Iowa and Minnesota clash in Minneapolis. So, and I think it was on Fox. It is on NBC.
7:30 p.m. on NBC. All right.
Yes. So, folks, please, now that our trophy this week is not this week, do yourself a favor, and at the end, even if you don't watch the game, I can't ask you to watch the game.
that's a bridge too far.
That's a bridge too far. But just keep poking in just to see, or even check on your phone when the game's about to end. You are going to want to see that trophy. It's a big ass bronze pig. If you have not listened to our season 1, it is a big go listen to that episode.
It's a good baby Rosedale boy.
You'll understand why we have our expectations now for these trophies, because that was one of the first ones that neither of us had known about until we did this podcast. And it was, I don't know, I think it was one of those things that really made me want to like continue down this path of like expanding my horizons in college football and not just be, I've always loved it, always focused on my team and the opponents, never really looked at the broader view. That was one of the ones that was like, man, what have I been missing out on?
Yeah. No, that's and with looking at that time slot, I mean, Tennessee, Oklahoma, that sucker will be over early. So by the time that one's in the bag on ABC, you just flip over to NBC and boom, there you go. So what else are you gonna watch? Miami's playing South. Actually, that's kind of a sneaky good game. That's actually a sneaky.
I'm probably going to watch that game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel so sorry for NFL fans. They're like, oh, we got 3 games on the afternoon slate. Well, I'm going to go watch college football on Saturday. There's 144 games being played. Yeah. Idiots.
And that's going to do it for us this week. Follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, this is hilarious that I decided to do it for this particular pod once we just kind of yelled at you guys before this. But if you like this pod and the various things that we do, can you, like our Pick'em Challenge, can you please follow us on socials if you're not already?
Yes.
Put your notifications on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. Review us, give us a review, preferably a 5-star. But it just helps because truthfully, we have some really cool ideas and it helps us. And the more that we can grow this pod, the more likely we can actually be able to execute some of these really cool ideas we have. So please do all those things. Tell one friend about us. We'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, let's, we got a lot of cool things that we could do if we had some financial backing. Or even if someone gives us a chance. If you are a chancellor out there, I just said governors are tired, chancellors are wired. If you are a chancellor of a university who has a rivalry and you would like a trophy, we will pro bono design your trophy for you. All we ask is for a little bit of credit. That's it. Just a little shout out. But we'll do it for you. And we'll do a hell of a job. I mean, you heard what I just came up with off the dome for the Apple Cup. Give me some time and energy. I'll call off work for a week and just noodle on it.
Yes, I agree.
Anyways.
So join us next week when we talk about another Victory Bell trophy. For Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.